Hey everybody, it's Bandor Tyrell and I'm back again doing another video for you. This time I'm doing one on a brainstorm that hit me today, or something I learned today that I didn't know. Sorry, my mic's falling down. I learned something today that shocked me and blew my mind, and realized I've been doing something completely wrong, or maybe not completely wrong, but doing things, killing myself with work that I didn't need to do, I guess, and producing substandard results. So this all happened as something that I bought. So I bought this little dude over here. Let me show you. Sorry, I did this video once before and I realized I had this screen up the whole time. So hang on just a second. There we go. Now you can see, I think. All right, so got this little dude. I bought him today. I was going to use him for something. And I was admiring him and I think, wow, this looks so well textured. How come I can't do that? How do people make it look so good, right? It's like photorealistic almost, right? And then I said, let me check out the. I wanted to edit this. I wanted to put my logo on the back because I was going to use it as a character in a game, right? So I thought, what can I do? How can I edit this? So I said, okay, let me edit it. I'm gonna go look at the texture. Oh, the texture's right here. So this is from Holly Berry, by the way. Amazing stuff. So here it is. And I went, oh my God, it's not unwrapped. This UV's not unwrapped. And then I realized I've seen this before with other vendors. Like I know Tia Biscuit used to make a lot of stuff, and her UVs would look like this. And I'm like, how in the are people doing this stuff? Because I can't do that. This looks like the top of the helmet, right? This is the top of the helmet. This is like the back of the helmet. The cape's down here, right? The face is half the face. Where's the other half of the face? It's broken up in little pieces in here. I'm like, if I did this, I'd have seams everywhere where these textures changes. I'd have seams in my model, and it would look like crap, and the texture wouldn't flow. I can't even make a sphere or a cylinder without having a seam on it. So I'm like, how are they painting this, and how are they doing this? And so I asked in a couple of groups. Nobody really had an answer, and I went on AI, and I asked AI, and it told me probably, maybe, what they're doing and what I'm not doing that I could be doing with something like Substance Painter or some kind of 3D painting software. Because intuitively, your brain says, I make a model, I take it into this 3D painting, I'm painting on it in 3D, I should just be able to export the textures out of it and not care about the UV because I'm doing everything in 3D, right? And it should be able to rip that open and send it. You know, part of my brain says that, right? But I've never been able to figure out a way to do that. So it told me, and I tried it, and by God, it worked. So I'm going to share that with you guys today. So first we're going to go in and I'm going to show you the way I would normally do things. And so I'm going to use a sphere because a sphere it's a curved surface, so it's kind of hard to unwrap, right? But normally it's very basic, but normally your models are going to be much more complex. But this should show you what you can do. So let's go into Blender. I've already done this, so I'm going to just use what I've already done. So I have two different spheres here. This one I UV unwrapped. This one I didn't. And I was going to do it in my last video. I was going to show you both ways, but then once I did the first one, I didn't need this one where I hadn't unwrapped it because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you unwrap it or you don't unwrap it. Okay, so this is the one that I did unwrap, and I'll show you the UV on it. So here's the UV map. I unwrapped it like this. And so my normal way, this would suck. This would suck because when I bring this into Second Life, there's going to be a seam where this edge of this UV island is, and seams all around here, seams all around here. But anyway, okay, that's what I did. So let's go in here, and I'm going to import that. So I'm just going to go. I think I'll do a new project. New project. Select. We'll call it Sphere Test Unwrapped. So I did unwrap it, and it's a DAE format. So I pull that in here like I would normally do, and throw away that. There it is. Okay, I have my sphere in here. This is my unwrapped sphere. Go ahead and bake the mesh maps. So somebody can't say, dude, you didn't bake your mesh maps. And we will just do basics. I'm not going to make it. Normally I change the lighting. Normally I change some settings on the baking. So I just wanted to be done quickly. Okay, there it is. And it looks good like this, right? But let's put a simple material on here. And the one I did that looked so stunning was this kind of blue marble. Which I don't even see it. That's because I have cloth. Okay. Looking for a blue marble. There it is. That's a blueberry. It wasn't a blueberry. It was a blue marble. I want to use the same one because it was gorgeous. There it is. This cracked lake ice. It's not blue marble. It's cracked lake ice. All right. Now, looks okay from here, right? It looks okay. That's acceptable. But look over here. Uh-oh. There's a big giant seam running down this, and it's beveling the edges on it because it thinks it's cracks. There's another one right there. And the textures don't line up. They don't match. It doesn't look right. Okay? But anyway, this is the best I would, in my old life, this is the best I could hope for. So we're going to export that material using the GLTF exporter. And it's just going to be the default. So let's go back into Second Life. I'm going to upload that sphere, build, upload, mesh model. And the sphere was called, documents. It's called sphere test unwrapped. So I did unwrap it, and that's this one. Make sure I got the right one. My fingers bounced. World. Sorry, build, upload, mesh model. That one. And then I'm just going to accept the default values. It comes in as 10 Li. So anyway, there's the sphere. And now I'm going to go upload those material. That. And that goes to export, and it's called something. There it is. I think I uploaded the right one. Let me make sure to slow down a little bit. Build, upload, material. Yeah, it's the only one I have. Okay. So this one. And there it is. And that's what would happen. So it's all messed up, right? It's deformed. It doesn't look right. And I would be beating my head against the wall going, WTF, WTF, WTF. What the hell did I do? Why does it look like this? What can I do about that? Well, and this is what AI said. Okay. AI said, first of all, because when I created my project, I told Substance Painter to unwrap the UVs, and then I did everything, right? It created its own set of UVs. Derived from the ones that I had, but it created its own set of UVs. And so that's why it looks so bad here compared to what it looked like in Substance Painter. So the way to solve that is in Substance Painter, since it's actually changed my model, I need to export the model. So just come up here to export mesh, export it, and pick Collada, because that's what SL needs. And then I'm going to call this Sphere after Substance Painter unwrapped DAE. Yes, I want to replace it. Okay, it exported it. So this is the first time I ever exported a model from Substance Painter. I thought, why do I need to export the model? I'm just painting it, right? And no tutorial that I watched ever said export the model. Never told me that, so I never did. And I've done a bunch of tutorials, and I never told you to do that. But here we go. Build, upload, mesh model, sphere after Substance Painter unwrap DAE. Here we go. And comes in. Looks like it might actually be a little smaller. And there it is. And then we're going to put the exact same material on it. And look at that. I mean, look at that. Right off the bat, you can tell it's not deformed. None of this nonsense is there because I'm using a model that matches the material, where before I wasn't. Now, it still has the seam. Well, why does it have a seam? Because it has a seam here. So this is what I've had people ask me this so many times. Why is it looks one way in Substance Painter, but in Second Life, it doesn't look the same? It's because the model's changed. Duh. Okay, now we know. All right, so it looks exactly like it looks here. Pretty darn close to exactly like it looks there. And you know, old Bandor would have said, I'm perfectly okay with that. You know, I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm going to ship it. Yeah, there's a little bit of a seam here, but what can you do? What can you do? There's a little bit of a seam. But then AI said, there's a setting that I can change in Substance Painter to make that go away. And it's called projection. I'm doing UV projection. It says change it from UV projection, and it's on your material, to triplanar projection. So here we go. This is it right here. Cracked ice. Look down here. There's projection. It's in your settings. It's the very top one under fill. Projection. It says UV projection. Just change that to triplanar. Watch what happens. Boom. The seams are gone. It looks perfect. It's not exactly perfect. It does some really, really good blending of where the seams are, but it actually blends the seams. And so we don't even notice it with our human eye. Unless you look really, really closely, you're not going to notice it. Now, because of that, it changed the geometry again. It changed the model and changed the material. So I need to export both of them again. So here we go. Let's go export mesh. And this is the one I have, our sphere after Substance Painter unwrapped triplanar DAE. We're going to pick that one and override it. Yes, I want to override it. So there's my model. And then I want to export my materials again. So I'm going to choose that one. Yep. Export. Boom. There they go. And let's go back to Second Life. We're going to move these over a little bit. We're going to upload a new model. Build, upload, mesh model. And we're going to pick this one and go like that. And hit the same thing. 7.8 Li. It's the same thing the last one was. I don't know, but I thought the first one said 10 Li. There's the new model. Then we're going to build, upload material. Grab the material again. Save it. And then we will go up to the top. There it is right here. And drag it on. And look at that. It looks perfect. The seam, see the seam? Where's the seam on the seam? The seam is here, so it would be right here. And there's no seam. It's a perfect sphere. So there you go. That's the secret that I didn't know until today. So it doesn't matter whether you unwrap the UV model, unwrap your UV on your model or not. Bring it into Substance Painter, and then I'll show you which the setting is that I had to make sure. I have this on by default anyway, so it's kind of doing it for me. So if you go to new, it's this one right here, Auto Unwrap. Just turn that on, and then I've never adjusted the settings, but I was looking at them earlier, and you can change the settings, but I don't know what they are, so I didn't bother with it. I just turn this on. That's what you do. So that's one. So when you do your project, you make sure you set Auto Unwrap on, and then the second thing you do is you use triplanar projection on your materials, and then the third thing is you export the model back out of Substance Painter. Now, what I recommended was export it as FBX, take it back into Blender, and then export it to DAE. Well, Substance Painter exports to DAE, and so you don't need to worry about that. You can just export it to DAE, and in the future, Second Life is going to handle GLTF, which is already in alpha, So you can actually do GLTF uploads or GLB uploads of your model. And so you could export it that way if you're using the viewer that supports it. But anyway, that's the key. 1, auto unwrap. 2, triplanar projection. 3, export the model from Substance Painter. So I'm going to go back to some of my other builds that I did before where I didn't export the model. I'm going to export the model and see if it made it better, because I did have some things where it was a little questionable, but I also wasn't using triplanar projection. So I'm going to try this on a more complicated model and see what it does, see how it works. But anyway, that's the secret that I learned today. And I hope you guys enjoyed walking through that with me. Anyway, leave a comment. You guys probably already knew about this. You're probably going, ah, ha, ha, you're finally catching up. You're a dumbass. You should have been doing this for years. But if you're like me and you didn't know about this, well, now you do. And we will talk to you guys later. Have a good one.